right, welcome everyone to Friday Night Rally Chat. I am your host, Chris Marciniak, and along with Perry Seaman, and we are watching video from Hardwood. CEL Racing posted this up on YouTube. They had a pretty good wipe there, 180 or 360, well 180, and then backwards down the road for a little ways. Managed to not wipe it into the trees, but unfortunately, a little later down the road here, had to retire from some damage done for that. But glad to welcome everybody, and would like to say hi. And so this is Friday Night Rally Chat. And it's something new we're going to try, and it's a place for us to sort of showcase rally in the United States and rally with NASA Rally Sports real quick. So we'll go through some tonight's topics, and do some introductions. So tonight what we're going to talk about is the Hardwood Rally Cup. And actually, before we do that, because it's our very first one, I just want to make sure everybody can hear us, and we are live in the comments. So if you have a question for us, just go ahead and post it down in the comments. And as typical YouTube, like and subscribe. And the comments and everything, this will be up on YouTube for later, saved. Looks like we've got 3 people in, and I'm going to assume my audio is okay. So we're going to go over Hardwood Cup Rally. We are going to talk to new rally competitor Chase Blakely. Chase is going to come to us live from his rally car and his recent first event. Also going to talk about sim racing. I want to introduce the new Discord channel, the new NASA Rally Sport Discord channel. We'll do a little bit more of a recap of the season. So we're going to talk about the Atlantic Rally Cup. And a new event that we have coming up in November, and maybe a little for the 2023 schedule. So we'll see how it goes. So real quick, before we get too far, I'm Chris Marciniak. I'm the West Coast director, and looks, I'm on the right side. All right, perfect. And we've got Perry Seaman over in the East Coast. I have been the director for a little while, and my rally car in the fake garage behind me. Looking pretty sad, but been rallying for since 2005, and have been the director for a number of years. So I'm a competitor, organizer, director, and speaking of competitor director, Perry has not only started a rally in a car recently, but you used to rally moto.
But yeah, even a motorcycle. So good evening, and thanks for helping us out, and and joining. Chris has handled a lot of the technical stuff in the background, so I just want to say thank you. But I've actually run rally moto. I've also run as a course bike. So I ran as 00 with a full size ham radio and a Bluetooth link to my helmet, chattering in my ear. So I've done a lot of crazy things, I guess, in the rally world. And just this year, we've started really campaigning our XR4 Ti.
Nice. So, yeah. Well, we've got pictures of that. We'll show that. We'll show that off a little later, for sure. And I bet we'll talk about it as well. Okay. Well, let's kick it right off. And we have our guest tonight, Chase Blakely. Let me bring him in. Chase, how are you doing? Oh, let's unmute you. There you go. One more time. We're doing it live. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, how about now?
Yeah, perfect. All right, there we go.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Perry. Thanks for reaching out to me. Really hyped to, speak some words about this. And
yeah. So Perry tells me that not only this was your past. This Hardwood was your first rally for this car. He said that you had the car in shape and had it logbooked at the event. So you had kind of a little bit of stress going into it because you hadn't you had to go through tech for the first time and scrutineering and all that. and then successfully completed your first event. I was checking out your stage times, and you look like you progressed all weekend. So tell us, how was it?
It was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I'm definitely hooked. It took me 2 years to get my car together. Not working on it a whole lot, but definitely by the time I got there, finally ready for a stage rally, I was totally a little nervous to get the logbook, pass tech, confident but nervous. And last minute getting the logbook right there the night before the race was definitely a little intimidating, but we made it work. I had everything good. My cage is built by Ryan Thompson at TRF, and it was definitely up to spec. But we had a little confusion. But we made it work. It was good, all good to go, and I was good to race. And
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
The car looked good. Tell everybody what it is, and just a little bit about like the mods and things, and right. It's a Mark IV.
So the car's a 2000 Mark IV Golf GTI. It has a VR6 from factory. It's the GLX model of a Golf, so it definitely came with like leather, Bose speakers. Really nice car from factory for its time. And
as I recall, the Bose speakers are still in it, right?
Yep, it's still. I'm looking at them right now. I got to drill them out. There's the 2 door speakers that are left, and I definitely need to get those out of there and get some door cards going. But it's a nice car. It's a 2-door hatch, and it definitely has some power behind it with the VR6 2.8 liter 12 valve, and it's stock motor. There's nothing going on there, just an intake.
That's good.
As far as mods, I mean, I have Bilstein B4 shocks and springs, or struts and shocks, and then some lift springs from Sweden. And these springs are a 2-inch lift in the rear, 1.5 in the front. And in Sweden, these people use them for their work. They put tools in the rear. That's why it's more, but it's great for rally. I tested it out. Really, the rally was the test, and they ended up performing great. And the car actually ended up having some misfires throughout the rally, but we made it work.
Oops,
a B4, that's like a standard strut, right? It's not like an inverted strut or something real fancy.
It's OEM. It's OEM spec, but it's better, they say. I mean, the Bilstein, they definitely make some really good stuff. So it handled it for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
I often say that the thing that makes the rally car, the thing that make a rally car the rally car is the struts and springs in it. The suspension makes it a rally car, So it's good that you spent some effort in researching what would work.
Yeah,
for sure.
I definitely took a lot of time to figure out what exactly I wanted to get, and it was still kind of a gamble. Like, I just figured with Bilstein's history and with a lift spring, the springs are still stiff, but the travel was great, and they really were good.
And hardwood's like the perfect rally for a for a car like that, because it's very smooth, and we don't have hardwood doesn't have any real big jumps or real big rough sections. And I like in your car, you have a real common sense approach. Honestly, more people should probably do, for your first car, you should try to keep something reliable and fairly stock, a little bit of suspension upgrades like you've done, and just run it. Just get out there, and you can be competitive in a pretty straightforward car. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, super cool. So I was going to say. So congrats on finishing your first rally, which is such an achievement.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting too, because if it, when I built my first rally car, and that feeling that you get at the end of your first event when you've sort of proven that you could do it is such a great feeling, because like you said, you took some time to do it, and then you had like a last minute like checking it out with the scrutineers, and then it's like, okay, so you build it, and then you're like, okay, you want to prove that you knew what you were doing, And so then you get that logbook and you're like, "Ooh, okay, we proved that it's a rally car." And so then you move on and you're like, "Okay, now I have to drive the thing." And then, you take it easy. Now Hardwood, like Perry was saying, so this is a tulip only event. So, super geared to what I would probably describe as like drive what you see. So, a co-driver is in there kind of helping you not get lost. But as far as like the competition is concerned, it's you driving to your ability on the road that you can see, and you're not necessarily like listening to notes yet. You're getting familiar with the car and sort of how to drive at speed. So super super good event for that.
And you had Bryce Procius as your co-driver. How did you end up pulling that together, or how'd you guys meet?
So actually to start, Tim Michael gave me the rally bug. Him and his family run a restoration shop in Lansing, Michigan, and I'm here in Harbor Springs, Michigan, where Tim lives. And basically, I bought this car and I took it over to him, and he did a little body work, and he hooked it up, and he was like, "You should turn it into a stage rally car." And I knew I picked this up for something, time attack or something, motorsport, front wheel drive. So I wasn't trying to get too crazy, and a drift car would be cool one day, but I've always respected rallying and time attack, and I just knew I wanted to do something. Anyways, took it, built a rally car, got it caged, and he helped me out, get it ready. And
this was Tim or Bryce?
Yeah, Tim Michael. And then he
cool.
basically Bryce has rallied, co-drove for Tim before, multiple events, and that's how that connection happened.
Perfect. Yeah,
it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks before the
great.
event, and I was registered, I was ready to go. And
nice.
I got in touch with Bryce, and he was super down, and it was awesome. He was a great co-driver for my first event, not knowing too much about time cards and stuff. So
what was
no penalties. It was great.
What was your biggest moment? Like what was your almost off, right? Your biggest oops.
I took it pretty mellow. So it was good. I had a misfire from right off the get-go, stage 1. I was like, oh crap. And it ended up mellowing out. I just popped the hood after every stage, cooled it off.
So I can say, so the car like popped a misfire, and then you kind of just like were like, all right, I'm gonna chill out.
Yep, I kind of had to like, I was still ripping on it, but I was trying to feather it.
Right.
And it worked, like get
we're all
down,
familiar
full
with
throttle.
Yeah, we're all familiar with rally guys easing off the thing. Yeah, we know. So 7/10s, got it.
It still worked out. But the last stage, I was like, it wasn't really my fault, but like I think after the rattling and everything, the lights cut out. It was 6th stage, had 0 lights.
Oh no.
Not even tail lights. I had brake lights and blinkers and all that, but obviously
but just no like
brights.
running lights, no headlights, brights.
Nothing. So it was basically pitch black out. Perry's in front of me, and I thought he had the same kind of deal going on. But luckily, Bryce had a flashlight. He pulls it out, and he sticks it out the window, and I'm like, what? Like, awesome. Like, I can see.
I wish we had thought of that.
I know, right?
This was my first lesson of press on regardless,
Yeah, there you go.
It was totally like last stage, almost done, 6 miles left. Let's go. But I really couldn't go over 40. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, for
sure.
We did almost the same time on that last stage because we did the same thing. We pulled up to the start and like we left and we hit a bump and the light. I think our right headlight was like half on low beam. Okay, and then occasionally it would flicker and get bright and we'd start taking off again and then it would all go out again. And so same exact thing. My co-driver is my daughter. She says she's the first thing we come off the line a few hundred feet later. She says, "Well, I didn't think Diane was on the agenda tonight." She was joking around, of course, but it was.
And then Chase, when did you have a moment where like everything clicked? Where you're just like you clicked with the co-driver and you just knew where you were going because you did a couple of the stages over, right? You did, one came, so you saw the same stage a couple times. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it totally. after the first 2 stages, I was like, okay, I'm familiar. I know how the car handles now with the suspension and the gravel tires on the gravel, and it was very flowy. And I snowboard, so coming from that weight transfer, that's totally like I totally understood that off the get go. I mean, I grew up on a dirt road, but it totally was.
I've heard that analogy before. I've had people say that to me. I ski as well, and I definitely like with front wheel drive cars going downhill for sure. Like there's a parallel between getting your weight out over your skis to have control going down the hill, and being in a front wheel drive car flooring it going downhill, which you're like, but I want to stop, and you're like, you don't have control unless you're on the throttle. So you better get going down the road. That's real cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Cool feeling for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, Chase, why don't you stick around? We're gonna talk about simulators, and actually that was kind of my last question. Have you done any like Dirt Rally 2, any rally sim stuff, any PlayStation?
So I've as far as simulators, I've been to a few Grid Lifes.
Oh, cool.
Big Drift Time Attack events. They have simulators there.
Yeah.
Forza, anything really.
Okay, cool.
But I played leading up to this, a couple weeks leading up to the Hardwood Rally. I downloaded Dirt Rally 2.0.
Awesome.
And if there's any game, and I just play it on the controller, and I feel like the physics are there. You can learn weight transfer, flicking the car from front wheel drive to rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
I love that game. The notes you can get. You don't even have to. There's a cheat sheet on the top of the screen. You can just start listening after a couple rounds. So it's awesome.
Perfect. Well, we're gonna talk more about sim racing. So stick around. I want to say shout out to Ohio Michigan Motorsports in the chat. We've got some actual video of their drive, and that's up on YouTube. And so super cool stuff for that. Audio. And this is Hardwood. This is the road. You saw a little bit in the opening, and this is some more from those guys. So yeah, super smooth, fantastic roads. I'm sure looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, Hardwood's like, you can really get moving. If you look at some of the scores, the average stage speeds are like in the 60s. Yeah. And one thing tricky about it, like Tim Mickle, he's a really fast guy, and then the last stage, he started cutting into that tall grass, and he found a big boulder and tore up the front of his front end of his car. He managed to finish, but so you got to be a little careful too. There, you got to stay on the road.
Yeah.
Unlike some places where you can really ditch hook everything.
So that's super cool. So yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, in the chat. Great to see you out there. And yeah, lots of fun there. So let's switch gears a little bit, and I'm gonna share some more stuff. So let's talk about we started talking about a little bit about sim racing. Let me find my video of that. Did I not even load it?
So I can talk a little bit about my experience with that. We have, so we do have Dirt Rally and Dirt Rally 2 here. It's kind of funny because I have 4 daughters, and 2 are driving and 2 are just approaching driving age. And all of them have learned to drive a manual by driving Dirt 2 with, we have the Logitech steering wheel and the pedals and all that stuff. And we actually built a little, a seat that you can sit in for the living room. There you go. And so I think, as a transfer to actual rally racing, I think it's very relevant because, like Chase was saying, you can actually turn off all the on-screen notes and whatnot and just listen to the co-driver, and it helps kind of train that muscle memory of looking for the next corner based on the notes, and and the car control is pretty good too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Dirt Rally was good. Dirt Rally 2 sort of polished on top of that. And it's interesting. My big takeaway, having getting started in rally, like by finding the Impreza on the PlayStation back 20 years ago, right? This is how the OG did it.
Yep. Speed, Vision, and Need for Speed.
Yeah. But I feel
Yeah.
like those early, and maybe Chase, you guys can help me out, but like those early games, I feel like they thought like, oh, rally's super hard, so we'll make this game super hard to drive. And then I get in my real rally car and I'm like, guys, it's not like it drives fine. It's not impossible to drive. And so there was like a until we got maybe Richard Burns Rally, where we had better physics and better car control, stuff like that. I felt like every especially all of the early PlayStation games, it was just like, well, rally is really hard, so we'll make it really hard in a video game. So
yeah, definitely the games are hard. The games are definitely hard to get used to. But
yeah, I think
that's why I actually like with Dirt Rally 2, they have my car essentially, right? They have the old Cosworth Sierra in there, and I actually don't really like driving it in the game because without that calibrated seat feedback, it just there you go.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not. It does handle pretty decent. And actually, it's kind of funny because at Hardwood, going into Hardwood, I wanted to change some of the rear end setup, and I decided to just do what I do in Dirt Rally, which is I added a bunch of rear toe in, and I raised it up just a little bit. I added a touch of front toe out, and I basically did my standard rear wheel drive setup, initial setup for Dirt Rally, and the car did actually handle quite a bit better and stay a lot tighter, just like the game, and it worked out. Yeah, there you go. That's my car. So
right, did a little stage 2 tuning. Get in there and where you pull the slider across, you're like tick 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 tick. You're like, oh, I want a stiffer sway bar. Just put it on like 4 more bolts. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah.
And that's what anytime in Dirt Rally I would go get into a rear wheel drive car. It's what I do. I'd always go in and bump up the rear toe a little bit, right. Change a few settings, and it's exactly the same on my actual car. We were kind of joking about it beforehand.
Make it less impossible to drive. I had recently I did a track day and I downloaded the actual track. So we've got this desert track called Chuckwalla out here in the Southwest, and it's not it's not Laguna Seca or anything. But I was able to find someone had a laser scanned version of it for Assetto, and was able to bring it in and so before my track day I was able to actually sort of experience it and be like, oh, okay, this is what this is going to look like. And I know over on Facebook there's a bunch of guys that have a dirt rally group that are doing this and have added stages, and there's a whole bunch of North American stages in Dirt Rally 2 now. So, and Chase, if you want to move someplace into the light, that's okay. We can mute you.
I know it is getting dark.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll hit mute and we'll let you do that. So very cool. So
something else we've done with Dirt Rally or with Sims in general is practiced co-driving. You can copy the notes down basically for a stage, right, and have your co-driver sit on the couch or whatever and read the notes to you, and you can turn all that stuff off in the game so that they don't give you any notes. That's another way that I think if you're a new rally guy, this stuff is relevant. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly applicable to everything, but it's it'll help build the muscle memory and the reflexes you need.
Yeah, I definitely suggest going through a stage where you just write down all of the notes, and then turn off all audio navigation and turn off all aids, and then have your co-driver literally read the stage as you're driving it with a controller or with your wheel and pedals, just to sort of have that experience to listening to someone read while you drive.
I have kind of a funny experience. My nephew grew up playing these kinds of games, and whenever the first time he drove a car, he drove an old air-cooled Beetle that I had, and he drove it like an expert as long as he was driving it really hard, but he couldn't stop at a stop sign, and it occurred to me that it was because he drives flat out in these video games all the time.
Oh, right. So he just figures that, it's just going to have 100% traction. And
well, yeah, well, actually, he had a lot of skill that he had built up, but it doesn't teach you how to, like, judge distance to stop somewhere like normal driving, right? Because
save the car.
He got in the car and matted the throttle and sidestepped the clutch and took off,
Yeah.
And we were on like an off-road section or an off-road area. We weren't on the streets. He was little, but I just thought it was kind of funny that he drove exactly like you drive in dirt.
Yep, cool.
Dirt rally.
So so I think the verdict is in, and I think sim racing definitely sort of gives you a little bit of a taste. I mean, just like rallycross, no one, you don't really get taught how to keep the car steady at 90 miles an hour. You have to just do it. But we're so happy Chase was sharing his experiences of doing it this past weekend. So very cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a blast. I encourage it. I definitely encourage taking your time, getting into it, volunteering, get to as many events as you can, and just the research is big, safety gear is big. You don't want to cheap out on your safety gear. That's what
for
keeps
sure
you doing it. And it's
sure.
I'm hyped to be involved and
nice.
learn more.
Chase, any like sponsor shout outs you want to do?
EAC Limited in manufacturing, clothing gear out of Denver, Colorado, Gypsy Vodka out of Petoskey, Michigan. Definitely shout out Nasty Rally Sport.
Cool logo on your car for that, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, cool. They did a good job with that.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, OG Racing, all the friends that made it possible. Everyone's super welcoming in the community.
Right. Who was the photographer? Do we know the photographer that took these shots?
Tessa, definitely shout out Tessa Hacker. That's who took these photos. Great. Ryan, R1 Images. He's got a photo in there.
Thank you photographers. I mean, this saves, having a shot like this. I mean, it just makes the weekend just absolutely
my favorite.
sweet.
That's my favorite shot.
Yeah.
And the pictures you sent over are awesome. They did a really good job.
Yeah, a little bit opposite lock, full throttle, it.
Yep. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, Chase. Well, thanks for joining us. You can stay here in the stream and continue to watch, but we are going to move on to some event stuff. But
thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we will definitely see you out on the stages soon.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Very cool. So this is what we're all about. We want to encourage new folks to get involved in the sport. And we're a grassroots organization. We're put together by volunteers. This is not my day job. This is not Perry's day job. This is not what we do for a living. What we do is we love rally, and we want to see it flourish and happen here in the United States. So definitely love the enthusiasm, and we'll hope to have more of that on the show. Let's head over to some quick. We'll talk about the hardwood standings. Perry, are you ready to do a share there?
Sure. Let's just talk about Hardwood Rally in general for a minute.
Great. Let's do that
here. And actually, so you could share those pictures.
All right, let me do that
if you can. Yeah. Like I say, first time doing this, so we'll figure it out.
I've got 25 dirt rally videos that I was going to show off. All right.
I think it might have disappeared. I don't know. There you go.
Okay.
Oh.
Did I just?
All right. I'm gonna work on sharing a fresh one here while we talk. But so if you don't know, like Hardwood Rally, it's the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. It's almost like over to the Green Bay, Wisconsin area. Gorgeous place up there. I can't apparently talk and pick a window to share at the same time. Yeah. So I'm working on it. But gorgeous environment. The roads are really smooth, and they have a good mix. They're fast in some places. They're open. They're covered with trees and others and tight, that sort of thing. And there we go. Now it should share.
Okay. There we go. All right. Nice.
These are just some pictures, just a couple pictures that I took when we were going up there that we'll just kind of page through while we talk. But the whole rally, so some of the unique things about Hardwood is the whole rally is one day. So you can come up, you can do registration. This is actually a picture of registration and tech in the morning. And then you move over to service. They service on the side of a little country road up there in Hardwood, Michigan. Let's see, there's a picture of service. Kind of neat, kind of old school rally, servicing right on the road. And then you race for the day. They did about 78 stage miles with only about 9 miles of transit. So it's great. It's really a cool event. It's a very well run event, but it has this nice like low key atmosphere. It's kind of a low stress environment because you don't have to run around on these long transits.
I feel like anytime you have central service and you're kind of just coming back in a loop to the same place, it's super low key and everybody's you kind of know where you're gonna go, and like we said to Chase, you get the experience of doing the stage a couple of times, and then you see it in the daytime, and you maybe don't see it at night.
And Hardwood has this unique layout where it's kind of like a Y-shaped road. So you go like north and then west, and then you run that section the other direction, but you turn north again and run a new section. Mm-hmm. And you do this Y shape back and forth. So, and then after service they run it the other direction. So instead of going north and west, now you go north and east, and it works out really well because as a competitor myself there, the road always looks pretty fresh. Like you really only see half sections. You see them a couple times, but they're not combined with the same sections of road, and it is a tulip only rally. So although they have a pretty thick route book, it's not quite as skinny as most route books when you do have notes for a rally. It is a tulip rally. So really you only have the gotchas in there. It's kind of a challenge for your co-driver, especially, I had a new co-driver with me, my daughter, and you can have 3/4 of a mile between tulips, and when you get there, all it is like a picture of a right turn, and it's not a number like we're used to a safety note or a Jimba note kind of thing.
Or like full pace notes or full stage notes.
Yeah. So, I mean, being out there and driving the roads, like my hat's off really to some of these competitors. Really set some awesome stage times, and driving what you can see, they're really driving it well out there to put out those times.
Do you have some times for us to share?
Yeah, let me keep paging through. Whoops. There's Chase's car. This is if you hang out at the Michigan rallies for very long, you'll probably end up at the Rabbit Farm. So this is a farm that a lot of people congregate at. So we tucked his car there and logbooked it in the barn, and with lots of folks around. It's a pretty cool environment. This is just the stage schedule.
Oh, nice.
And here we go. Here's some overall results. Let me see. I think I have, I guess I don't have it in this folder. I thought I had the speeds too. The speeds are like in the 60s or so. But Al Dante's, he mentioned Tim Mickle, who has an Audi, all-wheel drive Audi. Adam Van Dam, who's a local hero he ran his Rabbit this time. So he's got this little, like an 85, I think, or so. Or we call it a Rabbit. It's actually a Golf. It's an A2 Golf. From the mid 80s, and he just drives the heck out of the thing, with like 90 horsepower, and he's up here third on the road, and a lot of mix of other folks. There's myself down there on number 9, but yeah, it was a great time.
We had I just we had Eli pop in the chat, so thanks Eli for popping in. I see that you didn't make it to stage 3, it looks like, so sorry about that, but he's at least being a good sport about it, so I love the ease. But
yeah, thanks for joining us, Eli. We saw you off the road a couple of times there, so we can relate because our cup rally was kind of a yard sale, honestly, for us too. so yeah, it was awesome to see you out racing.
Cool. I've got some I actually have some sort of the open the position chart that we use here on NASCAR Rally Sport, and I wanted to point out, you can see Chase sort of makes his way up here, starts out stage 1, and then just kind of slowly has a little lose a little on stage 5, but just kind of keeps the pace. It's important to when you're first starting out, just go a little bit faster than you did before, right? That's you're not there to your first rally, you want to finish and you want to have a good time, so you just want to get a little bit better stage time than you did last time, and that's about it. So.
And something I've learned, like to anybody new out there that's listening or watching later, we really learned the press on regardless lesson. Like our season this year, so at Hardwood, like part of our story is when we got into the second stage, If you know how this stuff's built, an in-tank fuel pump has a little rubber line between like the top of the tank and the actual pump. Well, our car spit that line off, which is such a strange failure. Something I've never really seen before, but we spit that line off in the middle of the stage. We stopped and fixed it. NASA Rally Sport actually tested out what's called a red flag rule at Hardwood this year. So this was the first event we tried to run that, and it was very successful. And what it's designed to do really is to keep folks like in the race for things that happen like what happened to us. And we were able to fix it in about 10 or 15 minutes, and we were able to stay ahead of heavy sweep. Mm-hmm. And as it happened, they had reconfigured the road, so we couldn't go to the end of the stage. But also, as it happened, the next stage ended up canceled. I think we only canceled 2 stages the whole season this year. That was one of them. And so no one else got to run it either. And we filed an inquiry against the red flag rule, and we were able to, instead of DNF, just have a couple of rough stages and keep going.
No, nice.
So that was cool.
This is an absolute unit inside your engine bay for those watching at home here. This is quite a setup in the old Cosworth.
I mean, I can talk about this thing forever, so I don't know what you want to talk about it. But
we will save that for another episode. The advanced engine tuning episode.
I will tell you this: anybody who's building an engine package for a rally car, you don't need a lot of horsepower. I've been detuning this thing. Like at Sandblast, it's great, right? But at a gravel rally, I could spin all the way through fourth at about red line fourth at 107, and I was still spinning the rears. So we got halfway through fifth
I'm the same. I'm definitely like a proponent of stock power plant, make a good, solid, reliable motor that can just make good horsepower, and you're not blowing seals or anything to just put down, a decent amount of horsepower for the car. And then just learn to drive without lifting your foot off the gas. So
and that was the intent with this, because I should say I swapped it because it had some really old iron in these 85 Mercury XR4 TIs, right? And so I swapped it for reliability, but we ended up with a really nice power plant. So
cool.
Topic for another show.
So let's all right. So that was Hardwood Rally, super great event. And let's see, we talked here. And I apologize, I'm just looking at my notes, guys. ARC final standings. So let me just address something right off the bat. So we have, Perry, you've got a ton of events out in the East Coast, and I do not have a ton of events out on the West Coast, and it kind of ebbs and flows, where sometimes there are a bunch of events out here and a bunch of events out there, and it's okay. This is how this happens. But I just want to address it here for everybody. Organizing rallies is difficult, and getting the number one thing, if you're at all interested in helping us find a rally road or something that you guys want to race on, finding the road is actually easy. There's tons of cool fire roads and awesome rally roads all over this country. The key is getting the permission to use them. So out here in California, that's been hard. So different organizations, different regulations, whether it's the state, the county, local cities, etc. It can be very difficult to actually get permission to close down a public road, or a road in the woods that you would think no one would be on. And run an event, like you guys had, like we'd love to have. So at this point, because we don't have a bunch, it didn't seem right for us to run the Pacific Rally Cup, because I don't know about you, Perry, but I'm not a 1-out-of-1 championship guy. So a little more interested in like a couple of events and building the championship off that. So with that out of the way, we have a bunch of events over in the East Coast, and we hope to have some, obviously, in the future. We have to have some in the West Coast, and we hope to bring the Pacific Rally Cup back. But the Atlantic Rally Cup is strong, and tell us how it's doing.
Yeah, and actually, before we get into all that, just to jump on what you're saying, in the East Coast, getting permissions is one thing, but also just having the staff to run the rally. And, and a little later in this call, we'll talk about a new event for us that's coming up in November in Kentucky. And, those guys need senior volunteers. They need people to, volunteers to marshal, and some of the help can even be remote. So if you're down with NASA Rally Sports mission and you want to help out, you don't necessarily have to travel all the time either. You can join the volunteer calls that lead into a rally and help just generate some of the maps and paperwork and stuff like that. So really a call out to folks to contact us if you're interested. If you have roads like Chris said and you know what you need to do to get permission, or we can help you figure that out.
And really easy, tons of way to contact us, not only down in the comments, but Chris at NASA Rally Sport, Perry at NASARallysport.com. And we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. I have my personal rally stuff on Instagram here, so plenty of ways to contact us. So if you've got something where you've got like a private landowner and you've got some, you have permission and you think you can get a bunch of folks together to put an event together, or you maybe need a bunch of folks together to put an event together. So we'll see what we can do.
And this year we actually did a test and tune too. That's an option for a non-scored event. It's real low key and it's inexpensive, and they're pretty easy. They're pretty easy to get started with. I think we're going to do some more of them in 23. Actually,
it's a super good way to just prove out an event like that first time, and because you just don't have to. You put scoring away, but then everybody comes. 10 teams come out and they have a great day just testing, and they just wail up and down one road a bunch of times, super low key. A lot of fun, and let's get 4 or 5 test and tunes, and then turn them into small 60 stage mile events.
I jokingly call them Rally Woodstock because, the one we did this year in January in Michigan, we all just came and hung out in the barn, and you have a road there. It was nice there because it was like a loop, so you could just kind of jump in the car and do a hot lap and come back and hang out in the heat for a minute, and because it was, I think it was 26 below the morning we started that one.
Right.
But
crazy cold.
But they're a good time too in their own way. So let's talk about the ARC, the Atlantic Rally Cup. So we had this year, just kind of an overview of the ARC for 2022. We had 4 events spanning the whole East Coast, really from South Carolina up to Upper Michigan. McCreary Gravel Rally was a new event for us. We have some great organizers that are working on that, plus some other events for next year, it looks like. And the same folks actually are involved with the rally in November that we're adding, which is we'll talk about that in a minute. But so we had 4 events in the Atlantic Rally Cup this year. We did 349 stage miles and 609 miles of transit. So it's almost 1,000 miles of rally, which I think is awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll show you the classes that we had here for 2022 at the top. So we have the Pro class, the 2-wheel drive class, and the all-wheel drive class. So unlike our events, the Atlantic Rally Cup just kind of rolls everybody into 2-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or Pro. Mm-hmm. Pro is our class for folks that have a car that doesn't fit in the other classes. Like if you have a sequential gearbox, a really nice machine.
Yeah, exhibition, kind of anything goes. Yep.
Yeah, you're in the Pro, right? And then 2-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, self-explanatory. And if we look at let's take a look at our scores here. So for the Atlantic Rally Cup, I'm just going to show these. I'm not going to read them all out, but here's our season points, our final season points.
This is all available. This is all up on the NASA Rally Sport website, as you know, but that's good.
Yeah, we're just clicking around the website here, but so Pro Driver and Pro Navigator, these folks, these top couple guys race with us usually at Sandblast, and we really appreciate it. Yeah,
not only Seamus Burke, some very familiar names, some very fast gentlemen,
very fast gentlemen, and very nice cars. It's cool. I was, we at Sandblast, we were pitted next to Seamus, and I just had a good time chatting with him, and I meant to reach out with him because he rolled a car recently, and they put it back together.
We'll see if we can get him on the show.
They put it back together in like a month. Yeah, we should try to talk to him about that. Yeah, so that's the Pro class. So you get into 2-wheel drive. We have the driver at the top here, and I'll scroll down to the navigator here in a moment. And we're gonna send some trophies out for 1, 2, and 3 here. We have Adam Van Dam. He's a Michigan guy, kind of a local hero at those rallies up there, and a real hot shoe. I mean, he can, he runs. He's a good fast guy.
Yeah.
We have Dexter Clark, and we have Al Dantes. So I said I wasn't going to read them, and then I did.
Yeah. Well, let's show the co-drivers. We'll pop through them.
press on regardless, right? See, if we had
Yeah.
finished Central UP, maybe we wouldn't be in fourth. I don't know.
Right. Wait. So the director's in fourth? I think that was planned, right?
The directors, well, if it was
Just
planned,
off
then
the
maybe it'd
podium?
be a little higher up,
Maybe
right?
just off the podium. Maybe we did that on purpose.
If I had some pull. Oh yeah, so I don't have to give myself a trophy. Yeah,
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did wonder. Yeah. Anyway, let's go down and look at our navigators. Not too much of a surprise because these guys are in some of the cars up top typically. Andrew Herron, another Michigan guy. Keegan Hellwig, he was up at Hardwood. We had a good time chatting, and Jonathan McKaylee.
Yeah, it's great.
So we had quite a few people contesting the championship. If you look, I mean, we have
pretty good all the way down to 28. That's good. I mean, you had a decent amount of events. I think enough to run. Like I said, four events is a good amount. I don't want to do a 1-of-1 trophy, so that's at least you had a bunch of events to get some points going. And then
it was good. And just switching back to two-wheel drive for a minute, it was not clear going into Hardwood who was going to take this because Adam Van Dam, he DNF'd at Central UP Rally, and so did we. That's why I say if we had managed to finish, maybe we'd have caught up a bit because he's faster than I am, but we attended a lot of races too this year, and so it was contested right up to the end, which is really cool.
Great. Yeah, I love the competition in both all-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. You just it needs to be pointed out. I find that a lot of times the bigger series will focus on all-wheel drive all the time, turbo all-wheel drive, the big heavy stuff, but I mean, the amount of time or the closeness of racing that you get in two-wheel drive rally is just great.
And the mix of cars, because you can be competitive in all sorts of things, and I think that's just awesome because people build stuff they think is cool. And and it's like Hardwood was a good example. We had a lot of two-wheel drive cars there, and there was a big mix, and it was just cool to wander around. We had an LS swapped RX-7, right?
I was gonna say like for folks building a car. Take a look at some of the top 5 here, and then look up what car they're driving in each event, and you're going to be totally surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Mike in all-wheel drive here, Tim Mickles in Audi, and he drives it very well. And Michael Ryan, actually, he gets like the longest tow award for Hardwood because he came all the way up from I believe North Carolina, all the way up to the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So it was probably a 1,000 or 1,100 mile tow for him. But he came up with a Subaru and had a great time. We had, we were chatting there, and Mike Przicki, he races it's like an older Scrambler Jeep with I think it's a big block in it. It's got a lot of chop. It sounds when he pulls up to the start, it sounds awesome, and it's just kind of a cool looking vehicle to see a Jeep with a big V8 on rally tires,
and third in the Atlantic Rally Cup. That's great.
And third in the all-wheel drive driver Atlantic Rally Cup, and a navigator. Pretty much the same story because all these folks are navigators for the 1, 2, 3 and the drivers.
It's good when they when it matches up. Although sometimes sometimes it's good to have an experienced co-driver for your first couple events, which Chase talked about a little bit, and sometimes they'll end up, and many times my co-driver, my wife Christine, would end up just beating me by 1 place in the standings. So I've got 5 third place trophies, and she's got 5 second place trophies, and you're like, what happened? It's like, well, I went to more rallies than you did.
And there are some co-drivers that like to jump around, and they're willing to jump in with somebody new, which is awesome. So teach them the ways.
So it doesn't always line up, but cool. So that's the Atlantic Rally Cup. So Perry, what do we have coming up for next year?
So for 2023, we're working on our schedule now. We're going to get it out on the website earlier than we usually do, is my intent. And we have the same rallies that we've had. Here's our 2022 schedule. So we'll have Sandblast again. We'll have McCreary Gravel Rally. Those two are going to be, around the same time. Right? They're not exactly the same dates. We'll get the dates out there, but basically the same weekend. And also Central UP and Hardwood Cup Rally we'll have. We're also, at the end of 22 here, we can talk about the new event now, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
At the end of 22, in November 12th, we have a rally starting up in Kentucky, and it's the same guys that did McCreary. Let me see if I can, grab the address here. Sorry.
It's okay.
And we'll do this. All right, is that working? Control.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the second.
Pull it on up. There you go.
And we're winding down. If anybody has any questions for Perry and I, and they'd like to just throw them in the chat right now, we can do a quick Q&A, and maybe if we don't get to them on this episode, we will definitely look to get to them on the next episode. So anybody that's watching, you just throw it down, and in the future, guys, if you're watching this in the past, feel free to comment. Perry and I read everything, and we'll look to cover that in the future. So let's see what we got here.
Yeah, so our event in November will be Lawrence Super Stages here. They have a very reasonable entry fee. These guys are doing everything they can. They're working with some organizations down in that area to try to reduce the cost.
I would like all the Michelin takeoffs that they have in the background.
Yeah, I know.
I'm excited about the like $12,000 background that they have.
I actually thought about trying to find that for my like virtual backdrop.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it's November 12th. It's in Lawrence County, Kentucky, which is like northeastern Kentucky up there. They have several folks working with them. Backwoods of Appalachia, Rediscover Lisa. They're working in Lawrence County. Racing for Heroes. They're going to have a donation for recce. They will run recce at this event. So it's like $10 a pass, I think, for a donation for recce. And here's what the roads look like. They tried to do something. This Lawrence Super Stages. The intent is to do something a little simpler the first year, right? Like it is with most rallies, and then try to grow it in the future. So we're looking at trying to do, a bigger stage rally here or in this general region in the future. And so this is kind of to get the town's, feet wet. So they're doing this similar Y-shaped kind of stage, sort of like Hardwood does. And so you'll race over and up these different sections in different directions. And they've got you doing a couple loops. So it's 62 miles and no transit at all.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Which is kind of cool. And if you don't want to do recce, you can do this one in in one day and very little vacation.
Are they going to do? Recce? But they're going. Do you think they're going to provide stage notes?
So we're going to try something new out here. We're going to do we're going to provide a video on YouTube of a sort of
like a pre-run,
a calibrated pass, if you will, in a pickup truck.
When they just drive it at like a normal speed.
Yeah, and then what you do is he'll try to stay in the middle of the road, and then what you do is play it back at twice the speed or whatever. And it's
the wind in your hair.
it's not the same, of course, as being on the roads with recce, but it'll give you an opportunity to write some notes. And if you notice, one of the things unique about this one is if you notice at the bottom here, I don't know how well you can see that, folks can see that, but there is a lake right there. So this road runs right on the lake.
Oh, that's
for this distance. They're going to have the emergency services folks are bringing out some kind of cool emergency services boat, and so hopefully we don't have a repeat of it.
Like diver in the water for WRC. Is that what's going to happen here? Is that what we're about to? Is that what we're going to talk about in our live stream?
We don't want to drown any cars here, but but it's kind of cool. It's real pretty, and the road's just right along the shoreline, So it should be a cool event.
Thanks, Planetary 13. And Planetary 13 also asked if there was rallies in the New York area. I don't think we have any right now. Or NASA Rally Sport doesn't right now, but there are certainly some out there.
We don't right now. We did before. We'll see how things progress throughout the years here. But
all right, but thanks for chiming in. Appreciate that. Cool.
So that'll be a fun event. I'll be there most likely as a volunteer. Whenever there's a new event, I like to go help out, and I like to compete just as much. But it's always better to have another set of educated hands, I think, at new events. So I'll be there as a volunteer and see you there if you come race with us.
Oh yeah, and looks like Ohio, Michigan, Oh My Motorsports is going to be there with 2 cars. That's great.
Oh, that's awesome,
here, guys.
We will have, I should say, I'm reviewing the subs right now with those guys. So we plan to get the subs out here mid-September. So within the next week or so. And we'll get entry open and get it up on the website, around the same time frame.
Cool.
And
Cool.
And then.
All right. So last thing on my list is we have started a Discord server, Discord channel, Discord server. And a bunch of you saw that I had already put it down in the description. So if you want, come and join us and continue the discussion over in Discord. And the link to join us over in Discord is down in the description below. Perry's on there. I'm on there. A whole bunch of guys have already joined. I see more are joining now, which is great. And just like this, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to talk about new rally car builds, all the fun stuff that happens at rallies, and share our stories and videos, and get you guys excited about getting out on the stages.
Yeah, great place just to tap into the community and talk to each other and figure this stuff out. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, like questions about cages. I mean, this stuff is going to go. We are going to continue this format. We are going to come up with different topics, come up with different guests. We're going to try different things. We're not necessarily tied to anything super rigid here, but we wanted to get something going. Please let us know in the comments what you think. Please like and subscribe if you can. That always helps the algorithm out to find new rally folks, which is what we want. We want new rally folks, new people on the stages, starting their first event, like we talked to Chase tonight. So Perry, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, especially for helping out with the technical side of all this.
A couple of years of video production in college, and it's like I know what I'm doing. But I'm a complete amateur over here. I appreciate that. And guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will definitely look forward to the next one. I would say a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month. Let's see what happens. If you hit the notification icon, you'll know, but we'll chat everybody in Discord when we're going to do this again, and we'll let you know what the topics are. So with that, I will say good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.